webinar off by just saying, welcome to the Real Talk with Ann, Real Business, Real Talk, here with LeCarlo Beaty here. We're going to be talking about this new tool that he has. I don't really think it's new, but it's definitely something that I have never heard of before, and I think it's really great. I've used it. I thought it was awesome, trying to depict my behaviors and helping me understand how to communicate with different people and what people need to know to communicate with me. And I really enjoyed that tool because it actually showed me and reflected back on me who I really am as a person. And so LeCarlo is going to be here talking about the different behaviors for individuals and what we can do to leverage that information. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to LeCarlo and introduce yourself, and let's get started.
Awesome. Yes, my name is LeCarlo Beaty with LeCarlo Beaty Coaching. And as a coach and trainer, I like to help individuals gain more clarity so that they can improve their performance in life and business. I've been coaching for over a decade with individuals in all areas of life, including health and wellness. So what I also do is personal safety and self-defense training as well. And up until last year when COVID hit, what I was doing was going around to different colleges and different businesses and organizations and actually teaching self-defense workshops. And soon I hope everything opens up and I can get back to doing that as well. And what I really like to do is being able to help empower and educate people to be better versions of themselves. Oh, you're on mute.
Okay, so do you want to go ahead and share your screen so that we can all see your slide? And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to use the Facebook chat window. I'm going to be monitoring the chat to see if you have any questions. If you have joined or plan to join the Zoom session, please use the chat window there to post your question, and we will definitely address that. And if you happen to miss this recording, which most of the people in the Facebook, you can watch the playback here in the, on the Awesome Tech Facebook page, and you can also catch the playback on our YouTube page, and you can also catch the playback on my small business mentoring and my website. So there's 4 different ways that you can catch the playback, and if you need that link, I will post it to you. So LeCarlo, go ahead and share your screen, and we're going to get right into it.
Do you see that?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So this here is, I call it What's Your Style? And as Ann said, it is based off of a particular tool, and we'll get to that near the end. All right. So what I want to talk today about is the model of human behavior. This is how we show up in the world to other people. These are based off of our tendencies and our preferences, and it's really how we attack problems and how we interact with people, the pace of our environments, and how we are when it comes to dealing with procedures, protocols, or really just kind of conscientious things. Okay. So here is a question that was asked. There was a study done. It asked, why do some people consistently achieve much greater success with less effort, while others who work just as hard, are just as intelligent, and even work in the same environment achieve much less? And this is something that they were trying to figure out because if you look around, there are people who are just more successful, and we all have the same 168 hours in a week. But how is it that some people are really flourishing with the same amount of time? The answer is they have 2 things. One is self-awareness, and the other is authenticity. And self-awareness is the clear and honest interrogation of their natural talents, passions, and behaviors. And authenticity is the conviction to remain true to self, surrounding yourself with talent or process. And for the authenticity piece, I like that because if you ever have been working with individuals, you know that sometimes people try to do things the way other people are doing it. And they may see a little success for a while, but then it kind of falls apart. And what I've learned for myself is that I had to learn how to be successful the way that it works for me. And understanding these two things really helped me to do that. So
So
here,
I have a
oh
quick
yeah,
question for
okay.
you. I'm probably going to pop in. So when you talk about authenticity, which I think is very important, do you feel that the reason why that some people are not successful is because they're not being transparent, or they're not being authentic because they're trying to replicate something they don't understand? What do you think is one of the main reasons why that tends to happen?
Okay, yeah. So one of the things that I notice is if you I'll take work for instance. You know, a lot of times people get a new position and they go into the role, and then they find out what's needed in the role. And you know, for the most part, everyone is born with natural talents. They're good at certain things and not so good at other things. And what happens is um, you get a position where it's it may heavily rely on something you're not naturally good at. And what happens is a lot of times most people will try to work on those weaknesses, which if you think about it this way, if I'm right-handed and I try to write with my left hand, I can do it, but it's going to take so much more effort to write with my left hand that, you know, it's going to take time and a lot of energy. Whereas if I can just find something where I can use my right hand, I'm gonna be a lot more successful, or I'm gonna be able to be a lot more productive because I'm able to do something natural. So this just kind of goes into being able to say, you know what, I need to either find a different position, or how do I make this position fit me so that I can use my natural strengths? Yeah, because you don't want to spend days and weeks trying to figure out how to do something you don't really know how to do. And I like to think of it as, you know, employees. You know, it may not be a bad employee. Maybe they're just not doing the job that they need to actually do. You know, instead of firing them, maybe move them over here or move them over there. So that's kind of what
Mhm.
I've seen, because it happened to me before. You know, it's like, hold on, I'm not a paperwork person. You know, I need to do other stuff. And you know, once you start figuring these things out, you can be a lot more productive in your positions that you're holding.
Right. I think what you said was very significant for me is when you say that sometimes people don't realize that they may or may not be good at a certain thing, or if they know that they're not good at a certain thing, they're trying to learn on the cuff. And I think it works sometimes depending on the position. But if you know that you're not good at that certain thing, it's just better to try to go with what you're really good at. It makes it easier for you to try to do something that you're not good at, you know? You
Yep.
just want to do it that way. So excellent. Thank you.
Okay,
Mhm.
no problem. So next here's a quote from Sun Tzu, The Art of War. If you know your enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. And this kind of goes, you know, this goes in line with what we just talked about, being self-aware and authentic. Um, and like we were talking about earlier, this is about human behavior. So I want to understand myself better so I can get the results that I want. I want to understand other people better so that as I'm approaching them, I know how to make the necessary adjustments in order to get the results that I'm looking for. So, you know,
Mhm.
if I'm building a team, I want to make sure that I understand my teammates and how they communicate. And if I already have a team, I want to understand them so that I can better communicate. So, you know, you might not be able to fire people or get rid of them, but it's like, okay, we have a lot of conflict, or we can't, um, you know, resolve issues easy. So let me figure out who they, how they behave and how they communicate so that I can make those adjustments.
I would say that me and Mike we are a big fan of Sun Tetsu. We have the actual Art of War book here. And if anyone hasn't gotten that book, you really need to read that book. It is definitely an eye opener and is really good for strategy building. We love Sun Tetsu over here. I can tell you that's one of our favorite books over here.
Oh yeah, I like all the old books. They have a lot
The
of
old books.
they have a lot of good quotes, information in them, and when you look at it, it's like this stuff applies now, and these were written hundreds of years ago.
Right. Nothing has really changed. That's real truth there.
Yep. All right. So here we go. We have, some superheroes. Okay. So when it comes to self-awareness and authenticity, all of these individuals have a particular superpower. They do their own thing. No, none of them have, the same superpower as somebody else. They understand who they are and what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are, but better yet, they also work as a team. None of these are individuals by themselves. Everybody has a team around them that they work with to be successful. You have Storm, she's with the X-Men. Black Panther, yes, he was the Black Panther, but he had, all of Wakanda behind him, and his sister helping to build and create new technology. Again, Wolverine had the X-Men. Superman, he was sort of by himself in a sense, but he still had his family and other people around him. And even Iron Man, he wasn't necessarily a superhero, but he had the resources to create something that can be super and do really great things in the world. So my question is, what is your superpower? Everybody has them. And that's what we want to kind of discuss tonight is with these behavior types, it's 4 different ones, and they all have something unique that they can bring to the table. Okay. There are 3 objectives here. One is to understand yourself better. The second one is to understand others. And then the third is to be able to adapt in order to communicate in a way that you connect with the person and you're able to get the desired result that you're looking for. So when I'm thinking, if I'm thinking teams, I'm thinking groups of people, but I'm also thinking, a married couple, or if it's me and my child, how do I, get them to, do what I want them to do or what they need to do, or if it's a business partner or whoever, my goal is to be able to understand them as well and be able to communicate in such a way that they understand what I'm trying to get across. Think of it like this. Somebody could say, tomorrow, I think I want to go to the mall. You wake up and you don't get ready and like, hey, I told you I wanted to go to the mall. And you go, well, you said you think you want to go to the mall. You didn't say you wanted to go to the mall. And those little differences are kind of what can cause conflict with people because, I said, I think I want to go to the mall. And in my head, I'm telling you I do. But for you, you're like, no, you didn't say you wanted to go to the mall. You said you might want to go. So it's just a difference in, language and communication. Okay. So now when you look at individuals, we're going to say we can divide them up into outgoing and reserved. All right. So the outgoing people, these are your fast-paced individuals. They like to be involved with a lot of things. They're really energetic, optimistic. They can be really enthusiastic and positive. And when you think of your reserved individuals, these are people that are a little bit slower paced. They seemed they may be a little bit more cautious and concerned, and they can be critical thinkers and discerning. So if you're an outgoing person, these individuals may tend to talk fast and loud. And if you're a reserved person trying to speak with them, you're going to have to get to the point. Okay. And if you're a reserved person, you're going to talk a little bit slower and softer and with a little bit more care. So if if I'm outgoing and I'm talking to a more reserved person, I'm gonna have to slow down my speech because they may feel attacked or like they did something wrong. And again, this is about behaviors. So you can probably think of a couple people who are outgoing or reserved. And now it's like, okay, if I'm talking to this person, I need to talk this way. And if I'm talking to the other person, I need to speak this way. And sometimes people will say, well, I don't want to do that. That's too much work. But in the grand scheme of things, if I want a particular outcome, I need to be able to make those adjustments, because sometimes most of the time, people speak to others the way they want them to speak to them. So if you're not able to make those adjustments, you can be off-putting to, a lot of people because you're not taking into consideration that maybe the way that you talk, they don't accept it. They can't really pull it in.
Right. Okay. So here's a question now that you bring it up with the real talk part. Okay. So we know, I think the general population knows that if you have an outgoing person who's loud and very excitable, very extroverted, and then you have someone who's quiet, soft, and passive, who, like you said, may feel a little attacked or a little intimidated because the person who's outgoing is just out there, what would be sort of your advice on how someone who's reserved will be able to respond without feeling offended or feeling attacked, because that's usually the first response, right? People are going to go by their first response. So in your professional opinion, what would you say should be like their I would say actual response to someone who's like that without taking away the offensiveness or trying not to be offended?
Oh, you know what? That is a good question. Actually, I'll get to that. I have a communications, kind of a, I won't say guideline, but some tips if you kind of notice who you're speaking with, and I'll share that kind of near the end. But right now, I'm going to go through the different types to kind of give people an idea and some basic information about each
Okay.
behavior type. But I do have something just for that you just asked.
Yeah, because a lot of times I know that I guess dealing with people and working with so many people, especially when I was doing IT desk to desk, you hear and you see a lot of things, and a lot of it was communication where one person felt that they couldn't speak to another person because one person was loud, the other person was passive. And so having some tips on how to communicate versus, even somebody who's loud, how do you communicate with someone who's very quiet and soft spoken? That's really important, because whether you're in business or you're in career, if you're not able to communicate with the person you need information from, it will be very difficult for you to do your job. And I think that is like the number one thing of, maybe the number one stress factor in the workplace is not being able to communicate because you feel that you are either offended or you are not offending, you're just out there, right? So definitely touch on that. I'm interested in hearing more.
Okay. And so this next slide will probably make a little bit more sense now. So before we were talking about outgoing individuals and reserved individuals. So that's just their pace of life. Like, outgoing person is really going to be like, hey, whatever, I do it. You have an event, the person doesn't show up, and you know that there's an outgoing person, you can say, hey, here's the mic. Can you go up there and entertain people for the next 20 minutes? And they'll do it. So this here is about priority, the thing that they're looking for. So individuals can either be task-oriented or people-oriented. So if I'm tasked, I'm about procedures, functions, projects, processes, getting things done. I have checklists, okay? If I'm a people-oriented person, I'm about relationships and caring, sharing. I show emotions and feelings. I'm about building friendships. So tax people are about thinking, and the people side are about feeling. So you might hear some people say, oh, you hurt my feelings. well, you know that they're on the right side. Task people don't necessarily care about feelings. They want to get the job done. So to your point, even if I'm outgoing, am I task oriented or people oriented, right? So you just have to know which one I am, and then you can kind of start formulating how to talk to me. So this next slide is combining both circles. So the top part is outgoing, the bottom side is reserved, left is task, and right is people. And it breaks up into 4 quadrants. So now we're going to talk about the different behavior types, okay? And this is where it comes into what you were talking about earlier. How do you speak to somebody who is outgoing or reserved or whatnot? It's just kind of understanding where they fall on this circle, okay? So the first one is the top left, and this is our outgoing, task-oriented person. I call them the operator. This person is dominant, they're demanding, they're a driving force. They want to get things done, and they're decisive. So this person's outlook on life is like they want to be in charge and get things done. So if you think of somebody like this, you're going to think of, if this was a position or a career, it would be, maybe a coach or a politician or a business owner, someone like that, okay? And they're very direct. So this person here, if you want to talk to them, you just got to be straight up with them, and you're not going to hurt their feelings because they're task oriented. They want to get the job done as fast as possible. Think of a NASCAR driver. His only job is to drive as fast as he can to win the race. That's it. Everything else, he lets other people figure that out. If he needs gas, they're going to tell him to come in and get gas. He's just going to pull over, get the gas, and keep going, right? So this is my person for the outgoing and task-oriented person. And then, he's a boxer. So if you think of a boxer or a fighter, their only job is to get in the ring and win. That's what they're going for. They don't care about nothing else. They listen to the coach. Coach tells them what to do, and he does it. Okay. Any thoughts on this one?
Well, I have to say, I think you pegged that right. I kind of know a couple people off the top of my head that they're strictly like task productive. I mean, I even have a little bit of this, especially when I am so focused on my work. I know that I am very task driven, but I'm also people as well. So, seeing this guy here with the boxing gloves just lets me know that he's about his business. He's ready to get it done. And I would like to see how you kind of go around the spectrum on how this will go up against someone on the other side.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This is interesting. Okay.
Okay, next I have who I call the motivator. All right, the motivator, they're inspiring, they're super involved, they're interactive, influencing, and interested in people. Okay, so if you think of this person, you see she has weights. Think of a group fitness instructor, right? It could be 100 people in there and they're cheering everybody. Come on, we can do it. Let's go. They're trying to get everybody on the same page to have a good time and a great experience. All right. So now, if you think of this person wants to get everybody on the same way of thinking, and they want to focus on doing it in a fun way. And if you want to think of careers, think of like comedians, motivational speakers, entertainers. And what I like, I went on a cruise before the world shut down, and that person that's on the mic all the time, hey, we're going to be doing such and such on deck 4, that's what they love doing, is just getting everybody to do the same thing. So if it's in a company and you need to do certain things, you want to find this person in the group because they can get everybody moving the same way. They're going to be optimistic. They're going to show them, we can do this. We can have fun while we're doing it, and really get everybody going. And they're both outgoing, but this person is people oriented, so they're more about the relationships, whereas the operator is more about getting it done. So this would be a good group to, two people to put together, because it's like, hey, we need to get XYZ done and we need people to do it. And then the motivator can get the people to come over to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because they can understand how to build those relationships with people. So next, I have who I call the supporter, okay? This is the person who is people-oriented and reserved. And they're about being supportive, stable, steady. They can come off as being shy and sweet. And their outlook on life is really being able to provide the necessary support to get the job done. They want to do team effort. So if you're thinking about certain positions and careers, these would be like administrative assistants, human resource, nurses, counselors, people like that, because you want them to be steady. They're all about processes and making sure everybody's doing good. If this person goes in and buy a car, they may call a few people to make sure it's a good decision, because they understand that other people are going to be in the car with them, so they're all about just making sure that the processes are happening. And I was on a call yesterday, and one of the ladies, this is her. She was like, this is me all the way, because I don't like it when people call me and tell me to do other things, because I have a way of doing it to make sure everything runs smoothly, And we talked about it a little bit, but it made more sense to her once she started understanding the different types of behaviors. Any questions up to this point about these? Got one more.
Nope, it looks good. I think that you're hitting the nail on the head. Keep going.
All right. And here's the fourth behavior type. I call them the analyzer. So you can see this person is cautious, they're calculating, careful, contemplative, and competent. This individual is someone who wants quality and excellence. They can fall into that perfectionism thing, where people, I can't turn it in until I get it right. And their focus is really about doing, if it's worth doing it right. So they're going to take a little bit of time. And when you think of these kind of individuals, you're looking at doctors, because you want them to make the right decision the first time. You're looking at lawyers, you don't want them to miss details. If you're a defendant, you want to make sure you get off, or whatever the case may be. You're looking at accountings, because you don't want to get audited later. You want everything to be where it needs to be. You want your T's crossed, your I's dotted, everything. So this is where the analyzer comes into play. Okay. And just kind of a little recap here. Here are the four behavior types. The operator is about solving problems. The motivator is people and being interactive and experienced. The supporter is a slower paced person who wants to make everything steady. And then your analyzer is someone who wants to follow procedures. And the operator is about results. They want to get the job done as soon as possible. The motivator wants recognition. That's what they need in order to feel motivated. And the supporter needs relationships, and that's what they thrive off of. That's why they're steady and supportive. And then the analyzer is the person who wants to be right. And I'm sure everybody knows somebody. You might not like them, but they're always right.
Absolutely. So here's the thing. I'm pretty sure you'll probably say yes to this, but I'm pretty sure there's some folks out here that are a little bit of either 1, 2, or 3, or you know what I mean? Because I can even see I can see my behavior type in 3 of these areas.
Yep.
Probably 2 heavily more so than the third one. You know, I'm probably not the one that says I'm right all the time, but I'm definitely someone who loves to solve problems, who loves to interact with people, and very slow pace. I have like that caliber of behavior,
Okay,
you know?
that is understandable. So what happens is these 4 behavior types are in everyone. It's usually one, maybe 2 are your more dominant ones, but everybody has each one of them in you. And, depending on the situation, you're going to fall into one of them, you know. So let's say you have kids, well, you're naturally just going to slow down to help take care of them. You're not going to be like, come on, everybody go. You're going to hold up, let me take my time, let me change the diaper, so you're going to fall into the supporter type. So you definitely have all of them. And I'll touch a little bit more on that as well near the end. So, just so it can kind of make sense once I show you some of the charts to how these behavior types interact with each other, okay? So here's just a look at the circle again. So you can get a picture of it. You got the operator, the motivator, the supporter, and the analyzer. And based off of their dominant characteristics, the frustration happens because if you can imagine, they all have their own characteristics. So that means they speak differently. If I'm an operator and I want to get things done now, I'm going to approach things differently than a supporter or a motivator. I want to do what I need to do to get it done. Okay, if I'm an analyzer, I'm coming in and I'm asking a ton of questions because I want to make sure I do it right. So now you can see that if you have these 4 types in the same room trying to figure a problem out, it's going to be conflict because everybody is asking their own questions and they're not necessarily understanding why this person just won't see it their way. So it just helps to understand this so that you can make the adjustments to get the results that you want. And here we go, talking about teams. If I'm working with a team, who's the best people to be on a team? And it's really all of them, because if you have a team full of, supporters, nobody's going to step up to get it done because they're reserved. They're not necessarily wanting to be outgoing and be in the spotlight. So you're going to need that person who's going to be able to say, hey, you know what, I'll stand in front of the auditorium and give the presentation. If you have all operators and motivators, they're not necessarily going to go into the details. So people start asking questions, you might get a lot of, I don't know, because they're not looking at the details. So you need some team members who are a little bit of all of these in order to make things work. And if you don't have them, or if you need a supporter and you're not that, then you can say, you know what, I need to hire somebody, or I need to bring somebody on my team who can take that up. Like we were saying before, if I'm doing something where I'm right-handed, well, I don't want to use my left hand. Let me just hire somebody who uses their left hand. I can, concentrate on my right hand. So that would be the same thing. If I need someone who's really great at building processes and I'm an operator, then I'm just going to hire somebody who's a supporter. Like, this is your thing. This is where you thrive. I don't want to worry about it. I'm going to give it to you. All right. And like you said at the beginning, this is based off of a tool, and this is the DISC assessment. And these are how they line up. And the reason I put the characters with them is what I've noticed is a lot of times people are taking the assessment, but it's kind of hard to figure out how to use it in your life to make the necessary adjustments. I have people tell me, oh, I took it years ago, I'm a DI, and I start asking them questions and they don't really understand how to use it. They never used it in order to improve certain things. They just kind of took it because the job said take it or whatever, or they saw a bunch of people taking it. And once you actually understand what it is and how it can help improve performance and things of that nature, it really becomes a very useful tool. So we'll take a little bit recap. So looking at their outlooks on life, the operator likes to be in charge and really needs to be in charge. That's their thing. So one of the bad sides of that is if I'm a person who likes to be in charge and I'm on a team, I may have conflict because in my mind, I feel like I should be in charge. And the thing is, in order for you to be in charge, you also have to learn how to be under somebody else's authority. So that's one of those blind spots and weaknesses of the operator. The motivator likes to persuade other people to their way of thinking. At the same time, they like recognition, so they can fall into doing the next great thing. You know, they have the shiny object syndrome because, you know, they want to do what's popular and, you know, sometimes, and they can fall into like doing things and feeling sporadic. So that's something to think about. The supporter provides the necessary support to get jobs done. And because they are slower paced and they want to make sure everybody's okay, they can be a little bit more slow to change. So if you have something that you need done and they're like, hold on, we got all these processes in place, it can be a little bit harder to make those adjustments. So knowing that, you have to do things a little bit differently to get the things done that you're looking to get done in the results. And then the analyzer likes quality and excellence. And with that becomes a problem in perfectionism, because I wanted to be right. I wanted to be perfect, and I may miss deadlines. So these are the outlooks on life, but I wanted to give a few, you know, give you an idea of the weaknesses or the downside too. So
The
it's
strengths
not,
and weaknesses. Okay.
yeah.
So here's a burning question. Okay, so how or what would you give as an advice for someone who's an O, who needs to get the buy-in of the A and be able to communicate effectively, because one wants to be right, one wants to be in charge, and the one that wants to be in charge wants to make the decision. So how would two individuals in that situation be able to communicate?
Oh, well, you know what? I'm gonna hold that one. I'm gonna answer it. And
Oh no, you can't keep me hanging.
I'm gonna pull it up and you'll see it's gonna show
Gotcha.
you all like what everybody can do, or not what
Okay.
you do, but what each one needs you to do. So it'll say, if you want to talk to this person, you know, speak this.
Yeah, so it's coming up. Okay.
Coming up.
All right.
So again, the focus, the O wants to get the job done. The motivator is, I'm with you, let's do it, have a great experience. The S is all about, you know, one for all for one, teamwork. And then the analyzer, again, anything worth doing is worth doing right. So I want to share with this here is the breakdown in the world. You know, everybody might say, I want to be an operator, but only 12% of the population is, okay? So that means everybody else is split up about 30%. These are the people you're really kind of working with. You're probably working with a lot more analyzers than you are operators, but the operators are probably the ones that started the business. They're the presidents, the CEOs, okay? And I like this chart because I was talking to some people who were in network marketing, and it made sense to me. You know, a lot of times they say, you know, you just got to get out there and talk to people, talk to people, talk to people. The more no's you get, the more yeses you get. It made sense until I learned this, because if I'm an analyzer and I'm talking to people the way I want to be talked to, and I talk to 100 people, well, I'm only going to reach 30 people about, right? But if I understand how to adapt and adjust, well, I could easily reach 60 or 70 people. I'm just talking to them the wrong way. And then if you look at the operator, only 12%. So if I'm talking to people the way I want to be talked to, out of 100 people, I'm only going to reach 12. So it kind of made sense to me, like, oh, so that's important. I need to be able to see who I'm talking to and make those adjustments right away so that I can better communicate with them. And
Yeah,
that's
I
what,
think this would be very helpful for like the small business students, because in the class specifically, we talk about buyer behavior
hmm,
and how a buyer sees a product, how they feel about it based on marketing colors, based on popularity of the product or credibility of the service. And so understanding how people are in a behavior, which is why I really wanted to do this Facebook Live, because I think that this is just another element that we all need to not just learn anyway, but specifically if you're a business owner, like you said, making cold calls or you're reaching out to potential clients, if you get them on the phone and you kind of get into a conversation with them and you can immediately identify how they're actually speaking and you can identify one of these 4 areas, then I think you would be able to land more sales because you're sort of speaking their language. And I think a lot of us don't even realize that. We just go right into the script, want to try to, pitch whatever, right? Without consideration of exactly what type of behavior we're dealing with over the phone. And with the new normal of virtuality, this is definitely going to be critical and important.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So now, like you just said, I'm gonna move into kind of how can you recognize this in other people? So understanding others. All right. So observations would be, this is just you know what? I won't do this chart. I'm gonna do the next one. This makes more sense. All right, see this? So these are observations. So if I'm people watching or I'm talking to people, I can start looking at these things and start kind of, I start with guessing. Is this person moving fast or slow? Are they talking fast or slow? And then I can start going down the checklist and I can say, let's take on the bottom, it says processes by asking. So an operator is going to ask a lot of what questions. What's the problem? I'm out of gas. Okay, I'll go get some, right? The motivator is going to be, we're going to go do, well, who's all going to be there? Because they want to have a good time, right? The supporter is going to ask how questions because they are into processes. So anyway, well, how are we going to do that? How are we going to do that with this and that? And then the analyzer is going to ask a lot of why questions. Well, why, it's not broken. Why I need to fix it? So you can kind of start picking up like, oh, what kind of questions is this person asking? And you can kind of narrow it down. And then you have speech patterns, for instance, above that. The operator is going to be really direct. They may be abrupt, and they can interrupt you because they're literally trying to figure out what the problem is so they can follow, fix it. Your supporter is gonna, if you think of a counselor or somebody talking to you, they're gonna be conversational, they friendly, and they want to listen and show support. They'll get to the problem eventually, but not as fast. So this chart here really kind of shows how you can start observing people and making a guess, like how using these different criteria you can start breaking down like who am I talking to. So if somebody comes into your office, you can say, are they fast or slow? Okay, they're slow. Okay, so that means they're either a supporter or an analyzer. So then you kind of listen to them a little bit more, and mannerisms. Okay, I think this person is a supporter, so I need to speak to them this way. All right. And
This is definitely, yeah, this is definitely interesting. I would say one of the famous sayings that my husband says all the time is that if you can understand human behavior, you can rule the world.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Really could. So, and I think this is a great chart for anyone to be able to see and to kind of understand, okay, so I am a motivator slash, a little bit on the aggressive, boxer side, but I need to also be able to watch my body language, right? I need to watch how I speak to people who are less abrupt or maybe less passive to, so that I'm not offending people, scaring people. This is really helpful, at least in my mind, to not only have for myself, but to share with others too. That's why I was really excited to do this webinar. So yeah, this is really good.
So I got a couple more. Well, I
Yep.
got one more. You're gonna like it. So
Okay.
this is the communication, the one you was talking about. How do you
Oh
communicate
yeah, my favorite.
with people? So these are tips, I guess you want to call it, on how to speak with others. So if I see that I got a motivator in front of me, it shows a few bullets. Be optimistic, support their feelings and ideas. Avoid details. They don't like details, so don't get super technical and detail oriented. Just say, hey, we're gonna have a party, have a lot of fun. They're with it. If I'm talking to an analyzer, this is the person where if I go to talk to them, I need all the information, everything. If I was a car salesman and I knew I had a analyzer in front of me, all I would do is take, what kind of car do you want? I want this one. Here's all the information, you can read it. And they will read it because they want to make sure that they're doing the right thing. Okay. If I'm a auto seller and I'm an operator, I actually had this problem because I'm a high D and C, or high operator and analyzer. They're like even, almost 100%. And I went into a car lot. I said, I want this, this, and this. That was it. A guy, he said, oh, come on. He shows me this truck. I'm like, ah, cool. I said, well, can I get it for what I said? They was like, no. I was like, well, why'd you show me that? Oh, I wanted to show you what you could get. I was like, I didn't want that. I wanted this, this, and this. And then I just left. And he's like, well, we got it. I was like, no, I told you what I wanted when I walked in. You just wasted an hour of my time showing me a whole bunch of stuff I didn't need. I went to another lot, told the guy, same thing. And he was like, gosh, right here, you can get this. And I was in this car lot for like an hour because I knew what I wanted to get. And he showed it to me and I left. Like, there was no discussion. I was like, this is what I want. And he showed it to me and I got it and I did it. So understanding who you're talking to can really be beneficial. There was a book I read years ago on selling, and they said it was a guy that was one of the top salesmen in the country for cars. He said most car salesmen lose sales. They don't get them because 9 times out of 80% of the time, people are walking in ready to buy. You talk yourself out the deal. And I was like, that is absolutely true.
Yeah, I can tell you through my experience buying vehicles, it's the same thing. If you're not really catering to what the customer has come in there for, you're literally wasting their time. They're going to walk out and go somewhere else. I know I have done that plenty of times where I walk in, ask for 3 things, and they show me 10 other things. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Okay, this is really good. Okay, so what else you have on this?
I'm almost finished here. So these are all the things. I just want to do a little recap. So, sometimes when I do this, people think, oh, well, I want to be an operator because they get things done. And it's not really which behavior type you are. It's understanding who you are and then being able to be more effective that way. Because all 4 behavior types can be CEOs and business owners, but you have to understand what your strengths and weaknesses are. All right. So all 4 types are good. They're important. They're different. And these are essentially their superpowers. A dominant person is strong and powerful. However, they may not be really good on relationships because they can rub people the wrong way. They may not have details in order or processes. The motivator is fun and exciting, but they don't like details, right? And, you talk to somebody who's really a motivator and you start telling them things, they don't want to hear all the details. They just want to, who was there? How was it? The supporter is kind of nice. However, they can end up becoming more of a people pleaser because they don't know how to say no. The cautious person is smart and considerate. And again, they can turn into somebody who's a perfectionist and wants to get the job done right, and they can miss deadlines. So these are things that you can keep in order or keep in mind. And then here are what they need. The operator needs results. The motivator needs recognition. The supporter needs relationships, and the analyzer needs to be right. So you keep these things in mind. If I'm going to talk to a motivator, when I go in, I can't start with the problem. I gotta, hey, oh man, that outfit looks great on you today, and how did you do that? And blah, blah, blah. Then lead into the issue. But then I may want to come back with some more compliments so they feel good, The analyzer, he wants to be right. So if I got a problem, I need to know, I need to get all the information together so that if they ask questions, I got the answer right there. Because I want them to do something. I want them to do it now. So I need to have all the facts lined up to make them do it. And that's where the adjustment comes, because a lot of people are like, well, I went and told him to do it and he didn't want to do it. And this is why they're all wired differently. So you can't just say, oh, I told so-and-so this thing and they took it the wrong way. Oh, well, that's on them. And if you think of communication and connection are two different things. If I text you, but I text your home number, you're not going to get it. So I could say, well, I text you, look, but I text you a landline. Landlines don't get text. So I never connected with you. So it's kind of the same idea. If I'm talking to you, I need to talk to you the way that you receive it. Okay. And now if we're on a team together and we're both working on it, if you are an operator and you come at me direct, I have to realize, like, okay, they don't mean anything wrong. So I don't need to take it the wrong way. So let me hear what they're saying and give them the answer, or, give them the result they want. If I know we're actually both doing something to get to a particular goal. But if, you're on a group of people and you don't really know them, they can rub you the wrong way. Oh, I don't like Mike because Mike is always, mean or whatever. He's not mean. He's just an operator, and they don't necessarily have. I've got to be careful when I say it.
They're like Mr. Spock. They don't have feelings sometimes.
Yeah, they don't necessarily. It's not that they don't have feelings. They want the
right.
Result,
right. They just want the end result of things. That's basically it. The end result is all that matters.
So, like we talked about again, this is how, these are the ways of building self-awareness and authenticity. What we do, why we do it, and today we just talked about how we do it. So that is the behavior types right there. I can stop sharing. There we go.
That is some excellent information. So I wasn't sure if anybody who is on the Zoom call have a question. If you do, you can unmute and ask a question, or you can put in the chat window. We also have this live stream at like 4 different places right now while LeCarlo is talking, so that people can catch the playback. And LeCarlo, go ahead and share your information so that people know how to find you. If you're interested in taking the DISC tool, you can definitely reach out to him and he can help you with that. So give him your contact information.
Hold on, I'm gonna share my screen again. I just put it up there. That way if they're on, they can screenshot it or write it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely put it back on the screen.
There we go.
All right, there we go. So make sure that people catch the playback. Again, if you're interested in this tool and learning more about the tool, is definitely something worth taking. I know that I did it. I have never heard of the DISC tool before. It took like maybe 15, 20 minutes, just kind of go through some of the questions. Well, maybe even not even that long, just kind of looking at the questions and answering, like, I think it's 15 questions, 16 questions or something. And based on that, it's going to spit out this report that you get to look at, that you get to analyze, and it gives you so much information. And I couldn't believe some of the stuff in there was pretty much, true about my personality. And so my husband did it also. And just seeing how we communicate together sort of matched up, and where we don't communicate together was very interesting. So I do encourage anyone that's interested to do that. So it looks like we don't have any questions, but I do want to thank you, LeCarlo, for coming here on a Facebook Live, the real talk, real business, real talk. This is more than just business. It's about health. This is about your well-being and your ability to be sustainable and have longevity, just personally and professionally. So we're going to be bringing more topics like this as the months go by. And we want to thank everybody for joining.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. So
All
again,
right.
if any, I tell you what I do. Anybody who sees this, if they are interested in taking the assessment and finding out who they are and how they can be more effective, they can send me an email, and I will reduce it to $49. And it'll be an assessment and a debrief. You get on the phone with me and we'll walk through it so you can understand how to take a look at it and apply it.
Excellent. All righty. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. And till next